Marriage is a sacred bond, one that is sometimes terminated. How and what are the consequences? Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Youth Talk. First of all, I'd like to introduce my guests in the studio. We have with us Sheikh Waleed Basyouni, the instructor at the American Open University in Virginia, the Imam of the Clear Lake Islamic Center in Houston, and a member of the Fatwa Committee in the Muslim Jurist of North America. Thank you, Sheikh Waleed, for joining us.
Thank you.
I'd also like to welcome our other guests. With me, I have Marwan, who is a corporate lawyer, Muhammad, who is a translator, and Osman from Nigeria, a journalist. Sheikh Waleed, in the previous episode, we spoke about marriage, problems in marriage, and terminating marriage or divorce. What are the steps towards divorce, or the steps of divorce itself?
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. All praise due to Allah, and His praise and blessings and peace be upon His final messenger Muhammad and his family and his followers until the Day of Judgment. As we said before, marriage is divorce is an option, and this option should be the last option or the last step to be taken. Prior to this, several steps should be taken, like talking about the problem, trying to find a solution for the problem, and if the person couldn't, he should ask for a moderator, somebody in the middle, somebody from his side and her side. They can meet each other and talk about the problem, because sometimes what happened with the problem became so complicated you can't hear anymore, even you can't understand, and you just think about one thing you want it to happen, which is, let's say, divorce. So that's why the Sharia said, take your time, appoint somebody from your side, from her side, to be like a moderator, like a judge between both of you, arbitrators, kind of, and they might come with a solution to save this marriage from falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
If couldn't, just a general advice also, I will say the person should kind of separation, they cool down a little bit, take their time. If they reach the conclusion that it's impossible to live with each other, that's it. The disadvantage of this relationship is way more than the advantage, or this relationship needs to be terminated. There is 3 ways to terminate the marriage contract in Islam. Mm-hmm. The first way, from the man side, from the husband, what do we call it? Divorce. That he divorces his wife. The second way to terminate this marriage relationship, it will be from the bride side, from the wife side, which we call khul'. Then the third way to terminate the marriage relationship or this contract will be from a third party, which will be the judge or the Muslim judge. We call that fasakh, when he terminates the marriage. And we will see, inshallah, a little bit in details about these 3. But the first one is called divorce. Divorce, which is talaq. In Arabic language, talaqa, or the talaq comes from limfikak, when something disattached from something else. When you disattach something from something else, we call this talaq. So, because husband and wife are connected to each other with this knot, with this contract, with our partner, and this contract joined them together, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them the option to release or to disattach from each other, and that's why we call talaq. Talaq. Everybody goes his own way. Talaq has condition. First of all, you cannot just divorce anytime. and you cannot just divorce the way you want.
There are specific times.
There is specific etiquettes and rules in Sharia to divorce. For example, or the first, there is, as Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu said, قال الطلاق طلاقان مباحان وطلاقان محرمان. There is two talaqs, two divorce are allowed, and two divorce are not allowed. The divorce which is not allowed, to divorce a woman while she is in her menses, in her hayd, in her menses. And the second one which is not allowed is to divorce the woman after having a sexual intercourse with her, or having intercourse with her, basically. After, and I mean by after having intercourse with her, not necessarily immediately after that. No, it means from the last time she got her period, her menses, if that, during that time, since she finished her period, you had any sexual relationship with her, any sexual relationship in the, let's change this word because it doesn't work in English, any intercourse, being specific, you had intercourse with her during that era, you will not allow to divorce her until she get the second period, the next period, and after she finished the period, you can divorce her in this case. So you're only allowed to divorce the woman in two situations. If she's pregnant, and you know that she's pregnant, istabana hamluha. Two, if she finished her period, and you never touch her, you never had intercourse with her. That's the only two times you're allowed to divorce your wife. Other than that, it's considered sin. And we have the famous hadith with Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu arda, divorced his wife during her menses. When the Prophet ﷺ was told that, he was so mad at Ibn Umar. And he ordered him to have her back. He took her back. And he told him that this is not allowed. This is considered sin, need repentance. It's a sin, need repentance. Then the Prophet ﷺ told him, take her back, and after she gets her next period, and she finished her next period, even the Prophet ﷺ asked him to wait one more period, and if you wish, you can divorce her after that. So from this, the scholar said clearly, the talaq can be bid'i. Bid'i means wrong way, if you divorce her during her menses, or after having intercourse with her. And talaq sunni. And I want to make sure that we understand, talaq sunni, it means it's not sunnah, it's not something recommended. No, sunni, it means lawful, which is a divorce. When you divorce a person divorces his wife while she's pregnant, or after she finished her menses, and they did not have any intercourse with each other.
So you're saying if a man divorces his wife during the period of menstruation, this divorce will not be counted?
This is a different opinion between the scholars about this. The vast majority of the fuqaha, the Muslim jurists, said it will be considered as one divorce, because in one narration, Ibn Umar count this as one divorce. Other scholars said no, and this is the opinion of Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahullah, Ibn al-Qayyim, and others. And also it's the opinion of so many of the earlier Muslim scholars among the Sahaba, radiallahu anhum arda. They will not consider this as a divorce. Why? Because they said, divorce, it's part of the religion. It has time. Islam put time for the divorce. So if you do it in the wrong time, it's not going to be acceptable. Like if you pray Asr after Fajr, it's not going to be acceptable. There is certain time for Asr to pray Asr, certain time for Ramadan to fast. So same thing they said with divorce. If divorce been given in a wrong time, it will not be considered as a divorce. But I want to make sure that we understand this point very clearly. The issue of divorce count or it doesn't count, this has to do with the judge. That's why the issue of divorce is not fatwa. The issue of divorce is not fatwa. It is a judgment. It's like a judge, because we see during Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu time, people before Umar times, they used, if somebody said, I divorce you, I divorce you, I divorce you, 3 times, it will be considered as one divorce. But when people start doing this a lot, Umar count this as 3 divorces. to make sure that people will not play with this word. So they will be careful about using the word divorce. It became like the judge will take this as 3 divorces, just to make people aware of the consequences of this word. Because it's a serious issue. You can't just say it like this. So the judge sometimes will see that this guy playing around, and he will consider this as a divorce. Might the judge see that this person is sincere, he wants her back badly, there are certain circumstances the judge will see with it, that he will go with the other opinion, consider it as 1 divorce. So if any divorce happen, make sure that you take your wife to the judge, or if you live in a society where there's no judge, a Muslim judge, you go to the Imam of the Islamic Center and you ask him about the rule. Is this divorce valid or not valid?
So what is the reason behind making divorce and allow it during the period of menstruation? Is there a reason for that?
Is there a reason in terms of when it is allowed and when it is not allowed?
Yes, because if he divorced her after having intercourse with her, she might get pregnant after that.
Mm-hmm.
And if she's pregnant, maybe you will change your mind. And definitely you will think about something here just beyond you and her. That's one thing. 2, if you, during her menses, we all know that women, during their menses, they go through different stages, or they're psychologically, maybe they are more nervous, or more, go through certain, they have, I would say like their issues, or I don't know. Okay. You might also from your side, because the person, her menses may be a long time, a person away from his wife, so that might cause some frustration on the man, so he might be rushed to divorce. Islam doesn't want him to take that decision while he's disattached from his wife. He knows that he can go with her, he can sleep with her, but he chooses to divorce. Islam want to make sure that when you make that decision, you really make it for the right reason.
I had a funny question. What about divorce through the SMS or an email? A man sends his wife an SMS saying, you are divorced, or an email.
Modern type
will it
of
be
divorce,
counted?
Okay, that will lead me to continue the point I raised in the beginning about the conditions of divorce. I talked about the time when you can divorce. Now how, maybe this will be the other question can answer your question. The person divorced his wife by either saying it with any language, Arabic, English, there is no specific words he needs to do. But these words must mean divorce. Like if he said, for example, I don't want you anymore, it will not consider divorce. But he said, talaq or divorce, I don't know what that. No, this is called lihar. This is different. But in French, how would you say? Anybody speaks French here?
No. No, well, we'll stick with English and Arabic.
Okay, so somebody say you're divorced in Spanish, in French, whatever language, but it means divorce. This is the word that has to be said. Second, this must be one time. You cannot divorce her 2 times, 3 times. This is against the Sunnah, and this is not allowed. It's not allowed to divorce her like 3 or 4 times at once. You said just, you are divorced. This will consider one divorce. What if somebody said, I divorce you 100 times? Consider one divorce as well. Consider one divorce as well. But the problem, if he said, I divorce you, I divorce you, I divorce you. Will be a case taken to the court, and the judge again will see what's the proper judgment for such case and situation. So this is how. But I want to make sure that it is a very serious issue. Even if you divorce while you're joking, it's considered divorce. If you divorce just because you go to the court, like some people go to apply for a green card, like in America, and he has a wife. He said he divorced his wife in the court. You write a divorce paper in the court. If you sign the paper, you said she's divorced. That's considered one divorce. If you go to the lawyer and you sign the divorce paper, you fill up the paper and you divorce at the lawyer, that's considered divorce. So you say it, if you write it, it will be considered divorce. Okay, so this has to be clear. The Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said ثلاث جدهن جد وهزلهن جد. 3 things are very serious issue. Even if you said it as a form of joke, it will be taken seriously. One of them is the divorce. One of them is the divorce. Also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked us to استشهدوا شهيدين, have 2 witnesses when you divorce somebody. But the witnesses not necessarily be in the moment exist while you divorce. Let's say somebody divorces his wife, then he tells somebody else after that, I divorced her today, by the way, or yesterday, or whatever. It's not necessarily to be done in front of the wife.
They don't have to be present, the 2 witnesses.
They don't need to be present. She doesn't need to be present, even the wife, while he pronounced the divorce. But he has to tell her so she will not be left as hanging. She doesn't know what's going on. He has to tell her, but not necessarily to be done in front of her or in her presence. This is the condition that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us about when divorce will take place.
So what about my question?
About the
so
SMS.
if he send an email, the main thing that we know that this email from him, and this text message is from him, not somebody else sending the email. So when it goes to the judge or the sheikh, the imam of the Islamic Center, he has to make sure that this is really her husband. Like sometimes a sister came to me and said, my husband overseas and he divorced me. What's the proof? She gave me an email. I can't trust that. I can't take this as a legal document, or what you think?
Yeah. No, this is legally, it is a legal document as long as it's issued from his email, from the address of the person himself. Even if somebody else has access to this email, because this is his responsibility to protect his email. This is the first issue. The second issue, he's not supposed to expose it to the public. The third thing, that he's responsible from everything that's issued from his own PC and his own email. This is according to the laws.
That's a legal
as long as
perspective.
I know his email address, as long as I know his
Send it to him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you know it for sure, then a person is entitled to protect his own stuff. No one else, if it was exposed to public and anybody else takes advantage or uses his stuff, then he's responsible for it. Then it goes. And this issue has been raised, I've seen a couple of weeks ago. Someone divorced his wife through an SMS as well, through a mobile. And it was valid. It wasn't divorce.
That's sad, though.
The problem with the marriage thing, in this part in particular, that is very puzzling, because you can't really define whether it's him who sent that or not. Why do we have to be sure of whether it's him or not to maintain the performance of the pronunciation of the dissolution of the contract? Because the parties who were entitled to pronounce the contract in the first place, they are the same parties who are entitled to end it up. So if the parties are not sure their presence in the beginning of the contract, then it won't go. The same thing happens with the dissolution of the contract. So therefore, the marriage contract was you can delegate someone to choose a wife for you. You can delegate someone to narrate it, to write down a marriage contract, but he cannot sign on your behalf. You have to. This has to be approved. There's the assembly of the contract. People have to sit down, see each other. If they can't talk, they'll write it down in writing. There are a lot of methods, but the main thing, why is this protected and very much taken care of? The main reason is to make both parties acknowledge that this is the true consent of the other party, and this is the aim, which is tracked on the right track, and he definitely wants this. A conclusion.
I think with the condition I mentioned that Sharia put the witnesses, nobody can play around here, because even if it's your email, you'll still have 2 witnesses to say that. And also, this what just Marwan said remind me that you can delegate somebody to divorce on your behalf if you give him that authority to do that.
So what about conditioned divorce? For example, if a man says to his wife, "You are divorced if you cook me a bad food."
No such contract. A swearing divorce. Just a second. Or you mean swearing?
I'm just kidding.
Divorce?
Yeah.
Swearing divorce?
No.
Is it
For example, a man says to his wife, if you go outside the home, you are divorced.
This is a swear divorce. If she does that, she's divorced.
Yeah.
But I believe that in this aspect, we have to bring in linguistic perspective. In what way? You know, the dissolution of marriage contract deals with religious, moral, and linguistic. In the linguistic perspective, we have to look into three things. The first of all of these is the textual import of the statement of divorce. The second point is contextual import.
Okay.
And the third aspect is the behavioral import of that statement. Okay. So the linguist in every society...
Osman, I'll cut you off just for a second. We'll have a very short break and we'll be back for you to continue, first of all. We'll be back in a few moments.
Brothers and sisters, to increase your iman.
خيركم من تعلم القرآن وعلمه ورتل القرآن ترتيلا. Learning how to recite the Quran properly, learning the meaning of what we recite, including the ahkam from the verses which we recite, trying to implement what we learn in our daily life. Would listen to the participants and the guests. We'll take your phone calls. We're going to recite live. We'll listen to your recitation and we'll correct it according to the rules and regulations which we'll state in each episode. Now your dream will come true.
Okay, now Osman, you had a point you were mentioning just a moment ago.
Okay, I was trying to invite linguistic ideology to the dissolution of marriage contract. You know, in life, we can do without language. And language should be looked at through linguistic perspective, so that some men or women should not play with the word of divorce. So the linguist should treat the three perspectives in using the statement of divorce. The first one is the textual import of the sentence. I mean, the main text of the statement that the man pronounced during his settlement. The second aspect is the contextual analysis. I mean by this, they should treat the word that comes and the word that come before the main word of divorce and the word that come after the word. From this, they join it together to bring a meaning, and the meaning will be the behavioral consequence of the statement that the man has made. In a nutshell, I mean that the linguists in any society that we find Muslims and human beings should treat the statement or the phrases or set of phrases of divorce. So they should treat it and give people efficient and sufficient exemplary statement to divorce their wives. If these things are being put forward, I believe people will know how to divorce their wife without playing with words or playing with a statement, and they should keep to their word, to what they say.
Sheikh Waleed, is there a certain context in which you can apply that?
I don't think what you just said will apply to this issue. What you just said is fine, but not in this case at all. What I mean by that, when we look to the word divorce, we strictly only limited ourselves to the word divorce. That's one. So if he said any other word would not be taken in court, we'll stick to the word divorce. And the reason for that, you might say it doesn't make sense. So what are the different if the intention is the same? We said because Sharia is not looking forward to have the divorce established. Sharia is not looking forward to prove that she's divorced, to divorce her. So we tell him this not be acceptable. If he insists, he will say it. I divorce you. You see what I'm saying? But we give that chance for him, maybe he change his mind. Oh, I don't know, that doesn't count. So maybe he will change his mind. That's one. Two, the issue of what the contents of what's the before and after, that's why I said in the earlier, and you just made it very good, that's why we need a judge. It's not about you analyzing the statement. No,
Exactly.
it's the judge. That's why what you just Marwan heard saying, are you swearing or you want to make a divorce? You want to establish the divorce. Let's say somebody told his wife, if you go to your mother, you're divorced. Unfortunately, some people say that, which is not right, because you're not supposed to cut ties between your wife and her mother. But if somebody said, or if you leave this room, you're divorced. First of all, we tell that person you should not use this kind of language because there's disrespect for the marriage, because marriage is a secret relationship. Second, we ask, when you said that, you mean you swear you want to stop her from doing this or going to that place, or you want to really divorce her? If he said, no, my intention was, I don't want her to leave the room. I don't want her to go to that place. The divorce will not take place. We'll consider this as a swearing. And if she does what you ask her not to do, he will just basically make the kafara of breaking an oath. Like he will feed 10 people. If he can, he will fast 3 days. Will not take that as a divorce. But if he said, no, I meant to divorce, I want to divorce her, this became a divorce. This became a divorce.
The decisive element here is the intention with which,
yes, the intention,
for which he used the sentence itself?
Yeah, and it's going to be a case in the court. That's why the judge will investigate. That's why it's going to be asked. And the judge, if you see that he's playing around, it will be maybe taken against him.
What I want to contribute in here, that very simply, a marital relationship is not a legal debate. Well, this is my work professionally, so it is not a legal debate. To take it to court and start wrangling around some expressions and going around terms and going between the rules, I think this is not the case. The case is, what is marriage in the first place? Marriage, first of all, establishes upon a mutual agreement between both parties to extern something or to cause a conclusion. A conclusion has a lot of consequences. All right. So however it was established, it ends up the same way, same thing. It's a mutual intention to terminate a relationship. So that's it. However it was expressed, there is a proper way to express it.
It doesn't work this way, Marwan, because even if there is no mutual intention to terminate the marriage, if it's one person wants to terminate the marriage and the other person doesn't want,
it could be terminated.
The divorce can take place.
But the issue itself is you cannot proceed with a correct relationship with one of the parties which is not in order or not in track. So best thing to do in this case is conciliation, not just divorce. Divorce is the last option, as we just said, but it's conciliation. So if it's divorce, I believe it has to be with mutual agreement to bear the consequences.
This fact.
Exactly. This first, and second is to organize the consequences accordingly. So So this is the main thing. So it's not a debate, and it's as you said, taking things smooth and going along easy. So if you go along easy and you just smile and take the thing easy, that you're not working out with the other partner, but you do have to work it out, the consequences. You have to work out the consequences. So you agree, both of you, on divorce, and then you could be friends, you could be partners afterwards for the kids, for any consequences that might arise from this relationship.
Good.
Let's move to the other types of divorce. We've mentioned some of them, but there are other forms or ways of terminating the relationship.
Yes, the other way to terminate the marriage, it would call khul'. Khul', it means when the woman can continue in this relationship and the man is not willing to divorce her. He doesn't want to divorce her. For one reason or another, she has the right to terminate the marriage contract or this relationship by offering the husband his mahar or more or less. The Muslim scholar said she can offer more, she can offer less. It became like khala'tu, I take something off. So I take, because you remember we said that the relationship between men and women like a clothes. She's clothes to you, and libasul. Yes, they are like clothes for you and your clothes for them. So as if you take it off, you just don't want it. And when the woman asks for that, she go basically to the Muslim judge or to the Islamic center and ask the imam, I want to end this and I won't do the khul'. And if the man accept that offered, she give him his mahar back or more or less or even nothing. Maybe the guy will say, I don't want anything from what I gave you. Okay, we just end it this way. That will terminate the marriage, and this will be like talqatun ba'ina. It will be like immediately her relationship will end in that moment with him. Her idda, her waiting period after divorce, in order for her to get married again, will be different from the woman who was divorced. And this is something I will talk about in this consequence of khula. I noticed something, that so many women rush to this khula issue. And like I can tell you in communities in the States, I noticed it became something, so even new Muslims knows about it so much. I was surprised why this all information about the khul issues, and just because simply they think it's an easy way to get out. But khul is not a good thing, and some scholars said that if a woman make khul from a man, she cannot return back to him ever again, even if she married again. Even if some scholars said that. So it's a serious thing. Don't say it's an easy way to get out.
An easy thing to do.
Yeah. This is just, I don't want to go on details about the whole issue. And recently the Muslim jurists in Mecca, they had a meeting and they talked about the whole issues. And they said, there's no doubt, it's part of the fiqh of the Muslims' heritage. It exists in the books of the fiqh, the whole issue. And it gave the woman the ability to terminate the marriage if the man doesn't want to do that. The third one is fasq. Fasq, when somebody else will terminate this marriage. Like, let's say, she doesn't want to make khul' because she doesn't want to give the mahar, or she can't offer anything. And the guy doesn't want to divorce her. But we found out that he abused her physically. He beat her. He doesn't care. He comes only once every 4 months, every month. And she really suffering from this marriage. She go to the judge, she prove her case, or the imam in the Islamic Center, and if he sees that really she or suffering from this relationship, he can terminate the marriage. Let's see, he didn't come back. He didn't come back. He just gone. Like some students, they married a girl overseas and they disappear. Somebody go as a tourist in some country and married a girl and just leave the country. He never come back. Okay, she's going to stay like hanging like this forever. God forbid if it's a civil war in a country. And the guy walked out his home, he never came back. She doesn't know what happened to him. Maybe he was killed, kidnapped, shot. We don't know how long she can wait. Whatever period she will wait, but in the end somebody has to terminate this marriage because it's not fair. What do we call it? Fasq al-aqd. This is what we call fasq al-aqd.
I'll go now straight to a question from one of our guests, Osman.
Okay, Sheikh Abdullah, Sheikh Waleed was discussing about khulu, that is the female termination of the marriage. So what about if she's fed up of her husband and the dowry, she has nothing, she's poor, she cannot provide the dowry, and the man, says she must provide the dowry before she leaves. So what do you see to this case?
Is there a way?
Yeah, we'll go to the third type, which is fasq. If she proves that she is suffering from this marriage and she cannot live because he's abusing her or something wrong going in the marriage, that will be for the judge or for the imam to decide on that. And I make sure that we understand this. The imam of the masjid has no right to do that if he lives in a Muslim country where it's judge and court system. I'm talking about imam only in a society where there's no Muslims courts or judge or
system,
yes. So we'll make sure to understand this. Beside that, I would like, even for those who lives in a Muslim country, they have to seek the legal divorce. It should not be hanging like that, because if you live in a country, you have to respect the law of this country to be obedient citizen to the law of the country you're living in. But I'm talking about this issue from Islamic perspective.
I'd like to take the discussion towards after divorce. Okay, we've now talked about divorce and the ways of terminating the marriage and so on. Let's move to the situation of post-divorce, the consequences of divorce. Primarily what I want to start with is people tend to look at a divorced male, but specifically a divorced female, in a not very appropriate light. I mean, she's sometimes treated in a bad way. She's seen as a lower person, what's the Islamic perspective in something like that? Are there
Good.
examples?
Would you allow me, Karim, to just mention one point before the social aspect?
Okay.
Just the legal aspect of it from, Islamic rules. The way to divorce the woman, it's either the first or the second divorce, which it means you have the right to have her back. Let's talk about the consequence first.
Okay.
If a person divorces his wife for the first time or the second time, her waiting period after that, or the period, there is a period after that, and in that period, he can have her back in any time he wants. They can just go back to each other without any new contract. Just go back to each other. We call it idda, okay? And this is 3 qur'. Qur', it's a very unique word. In Arabic language, it have 2 meanings and are totally the opposite of each other. It means when the woman is pure, after her period, or qur' could mean the menses itself. So it's the opposite. So what that means, let's say he divorced her. If qur' means the menses, so she wait the 3 period, and the 3rd menses will start, she's finished. If qur' means tuhur, which is she became pure after the menses, it means after the 3rd qur' finish with the first day in the day which is finish her period, her idda will finish. So it's based about 2 meanings. This is if she has period. What if she's old? What if she's young? What if she has a problem that she doesn't get regular period? If she doesn't have period at all, and she's not pregnant, in this case, let's say she's a very old woman, she doesn't have period anymore, she stays 3 months, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Al-Talaq. And if she's too young, also, she didn't start her period, there's 3 months instead of 3 qur'. But if she has a period or not, or she goes back and she will stay 3 periods. And if she's pregnant, her idda will finish when she delivers her baby. Is it 7 months, 2 months, 1 month? Doesn't matter. But what if this is the case? The 3rd divorce, if it's a 3rd divorce, he cannot have her back unless she marries somebody else. And as for the khul', there is 2 different opinions among the scholars. Some scholars said she wait exactly like the divorce one, 3 months, 3 qur'. And some scholars said no, 1 only. Her idda will be one month or 1 period, basically. Let's say you divorce her, she got her period, she finished her period, she's free to get married. And this is, some scholars have chosen this opinion, and some other choose the first one, which is, it would be exactly like a divorce. And for me, it seems to be the second or more strong opinion, because khul' is not a divorce. And the moment he make khul', he cannot have her back. If you want to have her back, it has to be a new contract. But what if the idda finish? Like this is the first divorce, her idda finish, and now he want to have her back after the idda finish, that period. He can do that with a new contract, new mahar, and it's basically as if he's marrying her again. There's so much details on this, but I don't want to spend most of whatever left in this episode on this, but we would like to talk about the social aspect of it. And I would like to hear from the brothers. Let's take the opinion.
That's just what I was about to do. Marwan, for example, what do you think? What do you see?
What do I see? First of all, the look of the society to a woman who wants to is seeking divorce. When she comes to a lawyer, to a firm, and she starts saying her problem, I'm having a problem with my husband, for example, physical problem, they don't take it in a decent way. They take it, she's having decent problems, so she's not getting the right treatment that she deserves. Well, I'm a hero. This is not it. This is not the case. Other thing, what if when she's divorced, the consequences after sorting the divorce she seeks for, and then she walks around telling everybody who asks her, what's your marital status? She's divorced. She starts being faced with a couple of phrases. First, why did you get divorced? Second, aren't you thinking of someone else to cheer you up, not to marry you? So that's the way she's faced, which is no one would ever fit her shoes and see why did she seek the solution, or why did she choose this option? Because no one will feel the pains of anyone except himself, or if he feels Allah very much in his attitude and he cares for Allah rules very much when he deals with other people. So we're not in heaven.
No.
We're on planet Earth.
No.
So the look of the society, mainly or generally speaking, to a divorced man or woman is not very good. They're not being respected in the way they deserve.
Muhammad, would you say then that if you saw a divorced woman, what would be the primary thing that comes into your mind? The first thing that comes into your mind if you know a divorced woman, for example?
I can never marry her.
Oh.
So I
Why?
want, because she is divorced.
Why? Well, not why she's divorced, but why wouldn't you marry her?
Why would I go to a divorced woman while I have millions of virgin women?
طيب. The
Point
Prophet
to answer.
ﷺ married divorced women.
That was the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Okay, the companions of the Prophet ﷺ married divorced women. I
don't
can
know.
mention to you just one woman, one companion. She married to Abu Bakr, to Umar, to Ibn Zubair, one after another. Every man she get married to, he dies shaheed. Somebody else marry her.
I mean, let's get this substantially. Substantially, what do you mean by?
I'm not cornering you, by the way. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
Because you represent a large number of people.
Yes. A
in
lot of my
society.
friends wouldn't marry a divorced woman. Wouldn't marry an elder woman. Wouldn't marry someone except she's suitable, very suitable to the criteria or meeting the criteria he requires exactly. So
I would accept it if he said because I'm married.
a divorced woman. Well, people. What I have heard from friends, I have no problem at all with marrying a divorced woman, even if she's elder than I am. I have no problem at all with this because
she had more experience. I can tell you.
Well, okay.
Excuse me,
Okay,
let's ask you, what would your
yes.
parents do if you go and ask and say, I'm going to marry a divorced woman?
I respect my parents very, very much, but I'm the one who's living, and I'm the one who's paying for what I choose.
So
as long as I'm eating on my table, no one
you're
else
going to
puts
be
the sauce
responsible
here.
for yourself and for the person you marry, in other words, of course.
Exactly.
Osman.
Well, for me to marry a divorced woman, I will look at two aspects in her. First of all, it deals with my personal issue. Do I have my first wife? If I've had my first wife, she can become the second. But before I choose her, there should be criteria. Why has she been divorced in her home?
Good.
What are the shortcomings that led to a divorce? If I try to know this shortcoming and she's a Muslimah, so I can just call her and speak to her that I would like to marry you with the following conditions. Those things you have done at the home which you left must not repeat themselves in my home. And these are the way you can behave in my home. So I want to, to correct the bad aspect in her life. And I want her to be an exemplary mother to our children and as well to the society at large.
Still, divorced women are being treated as second-degree women.
Yes.
Because you would
Yes.
not, a virgin or a woman who never been married before would not be put in this corner receiving conditions from a man. See, this is
The
the
conditions
whole
would
point.
be much
That's sad.
different, I think.
Exactly.
That's
Are there any examples?
Yeah,
that-
that's un-Islamic behavior. I'll tell you that much. I mean by un-Islamic behavior is to look at divorced woman just because she's divorced. She's bad. She's not bad because she is divorced. Maybe she is bad because she behaved bad. Maybe she is bad because she did
Mistaken
this.
once, for example.
Exactly apply to the man. He's a divorced man. He's not going to be bad because he's a divorced man, because he's an abuser, because he's a violence
Woman
person.
beater, for example.
Woman beater. I like that. And this is why he will be a bad person, not the divorce, because divorce is something the Sharia came with as a solution or as an option. So we cannot claim there is a whole surah called divorce, Surah Talaq. So this is something first. Second, automatically comes to our mind when there is a divorced woman and man that there is something wrong with them or they are bad. Maybe they are good people, but they cannot live together. Maybe for some reason, why automatically we think about that she has to be doing, she has to have a bad behavior or he has a bad person. I know there are so many good people, they got divorced because they cannot live together. The Prophet ﷺ, when he divorced Hafsa, she was bad? No. Maybe just he doesn't feel more attractive to the woman. He doesn't want to continue this relationship, but Allah ordered to have her back. So let's take this out of our mind. Divorced woman, she's a bad woman. I'm sorry to say that. I heard that, wallahi, one time, that she's a divorced woman. As if she's bad woman, equal to the word bad. And divorced woman is a woman she can go do things which is lawful and all these things, stereotype about a woman. It's sad.
Stereotyping.
I remember once a sister came to me from one country, said, Sheikh, I cannot be a divorced woman. I asked her, why are you living in America? She doesn't have any relatives. She said, if I go back to where I came from, where my country is, I will be killed or be locked up to death. Another example, I gave once a khutbah al-Jumu'ah, and a sister came to me from one Muslim country. She told me, Sheikh, I want to show you something. And she uncovered her arms, and I found a lot of shots, like if she's drug addict or something. She doesn't look like that. And she said, my husband beat me up to the extent I sometimes faint and give me drugs by force. Because that's what he wants me to be like high or like a dead. Anyway, he has a...
Some satisfaction.
Some pleasure in seeing her that way.
Anyway, so I told her, I work on her divorce case. I call her father in her country. He said, I don't have any girls or any daughter to be divorced. She divorced, she's dead. I said, for God's sake, he's giving her drugs. He said, I don't care. Either she come in casket or she come with her husband. That's the mentality of a person, the father.
I'll tell you why. Because the father is faced in Middle Eastern societies, not Muslim society, not all Muslim societies. In the Middle Eastern societies, a father of a divorced woman
even Far East,
is being very much undermined amongst his friends and men. This is first. Second, that he did not bring her up well, that's what caused the divorce.
Automatically, again,
Third,
she is to blame.
that his girl is bad and his wife is bad, that she didn't bring up her daughter on proper basis. Whilst the man could be the main corrupter in the whole issue.
I know a sister, she agreed to continue in a marriage relationship with a man I know in my city, just to see her. She said, I don't mind to see you once a year. She lives in her country and he lives in America. She said, once a year. I said, why would you accept this? She said, because I can't live as a divorced woman in my society. People will treat me bad. People think bad about me. I'll be the divorce. The whole family. I think we need to change that. I think especially the young brothers and sisters here, they need to think about it from the Islamic perspective. If it's not at least from humanly perspective. Exactly. For God's sake, it's a common sense. Divorce it should not be used as a bad description to the person. What is bad is the behavior. What is shame you is your action. Because you can be divorced and it's not even in your hand. What if a guy married a girl and he divorced her? It was not fair from him to do. She was perfect, but he's a bad guy. What's her fault? I think we need really to think about this more in a rational way.
Exactly. Then another thing as well, I'd like to add over here, that the percentage of divorced couples nowadays are rising very much.
Yes.
Because the bases are totally crippled. The bases we choose upon, myself, I'm one of the youth of the new generation who want to choose someone to complete his life with. We do have mixed up bases that we choose upon. Plus that we get mixed up with the things we see. Everyone like you think she's good. We approve things for a man, we don't approve others to the woman. Same things for the man. He's okay to go out, he's okay to do some bad things, and when a woman does it, no, she's a sinner. You can't get her anymore.
Yeah.
Again, the culture, the way it looks at both.
I think the main point we need to realize here, before a person make a decision to divorce his wife, make sure that you think about how she will be in this society. How she's going to live in the society. Take this in consideration before you ask for a divorce. I'm not saying that because of this culture thing, if the divorce is the right choice for you, stop yourself from doing it. But take this in consideration, and it's just a side point to tell us, to educate ourselves about the importance of changing the way we look to the divorced woman or the divorced man, and especially if she had kids. That's even a bigger problem. And for this, I will say, one of the consequences of divorce, the children. Sometimes a person just rushes to divorce and he doesn't think about the dangers of a broken family where a daughter or a son grow up while his mother is divorced and been treated this way in the society, his father away, or he has a stepfather or stepmother, and a broken family can be the
So
most.
at
And
the
your
end,
mom's
one,
going to be doubted from all the society.
and will
From,
continue. to be,
Like,
of course.
yeah.
So at the end, one should look at divorce from a certain light before actually doing or taking that step, looking at either looking at the decision or at the consequences and the person who is divorced.
Yes, absolutely.
And something else. I believe that people do not have to judge each other.
Yes.
God only is the one who judges. We don't judge each other according to our social standards. No, this is not it.
And if we do, at least we do that
Sympathetically, at least.
in a fair basis.
Exactly.
Okay, I'd like to thank all of our guests, starting off with Sheikh Waleed Basyouni, as well as
Thank you.
Marwan, Muhammad, and Osman. It's been a pleasure having you all with us. We'll be back again with more on Youth Talk in the future. Thank you very much for joining us.